On a comfortable July evening at the Maryland Soccerplex, the Washington Spirit look to rebound tonight from a rare home loss last week to Sky Blue FC as they host FC Kansas City, who have won the last two National Women's Soccer League championships and are undefeated in their last 4 games, but have never picked up 3 points here at the Plex. Happy 4th of July weekend to you. I'm Michael Minnick alongside Daniel Malagari, and it was not a holiday for the Washington Spirit last weekend.
No, it was not. I'm certainly sure that the Spirit will look to rebound from their performance last week. Obviously, they made a run at the end of the game, to put a ball in the back of the net from a 2-0 deficit, but I'm sure they're going to want more than at least a point out of this game.
Yeah, goals from Raquel Rodriguez and Sam Kerr put the Spirit in that 2-0 hole. Matheson scored from Benini in the 77th minute. Good flurry at the end, but it was too little too late.
Oh, yeah. And tonight's also a good night with the departure of the national team players to see, all the players in the league that are certainly going to step up all around. Who's going to step up and take the positions of all the national teamers that are out on international duty.
Yeah, it's almost 3 seasons. The season we just finished
Right.
where everybody's here. The second season before the Olympics. And then after the break, you finish with a stretch run, the last third of the season,
Right.
the playoffs, and a champion.
So, it's what you're going to get out of both teams at this point, especially with FCKC. They're a great possession-based team. You're going to see the type of game that they're going to want to implement, here tonight. So hopefully it'll be a good match for all of us, as I guess you could say this second season.
We just got the team sheet a couple minutes ago from FC Kansas City. The surprise for us is that Katie Bowen is here and starting.
Right.
We were told she would not be here, that she would be with New Zealand, but
Yes.
she is here, and that's a nice boost for Vlatko Andonovski's goal.
Oh, I'm sure. Definitely when we read those notes just to even prep for this game, and it's a huge surprise for us. So, like you just said, probably pretty exciting for FCKC that she's sticking around.
So with her not here, with her here, you're only losing 3 players.
Right.
But it's Becky Sauerbrunn, Heather O'Reilly, and Desiree Scott.
Yeah, those are 3 really big shoes to fill. But every team is having to do this at this point in the season. So it's just not FCKC and Washington Spirit. So it just, like I said before, who's going to step up and play a big role over these next couple of weeks?
The 11 for FC Kansas City tonight, Nicole Barnhart will captain the side. She's in goal. Katie Bowen, Brianne Reed, Yael Averbush, and Brittany Taylor across the back. Erica Temrak, Mandy Laddish. Lola Bonta gets her first start of the year in midfield alongside Francis Silva. And then Shea Groom and Tiffany McCarty, the former Spirit player, up top.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen a lot of these players in the past, and especially Shea Groom. She's so exciting to watch. Watching that replay last week, her runs off the ball are great, and she does cause a little bit of chaos for a back line. So I'm interested to see what she's able to put out there this evening.
Talk to FC Kansas City head coach Vlatko Andonovski before this match to get his thoughts, and we'll watch that and be back with more pregame here from the Plex. Coach, before we talk about this week, let's reflect on last week. What did you see that you liked, and what did you not like against Seattle?
One thing that I really liked about Seattle, about the game against Seattle, was that we were a little more aggressive going forward, and we were able to create a couple of very good opportunities. Unfortunately, we didn't capitalize on them, but I felt like we were dangerous on the front, up front, and we were very good in the back.
Alex Arlett, somebody that stepped into your lineup in the last month or so. What has she been able to do as a rookie to win that spot?
Alex Arlett came in with the right mindset from the get-go. I mean, she knew what it takes to become a professional, and had the right mentality. And I'm very happy that she actually earned her spot on the team. Obviously, she's got good speed. She's aggressive, and she's someone that can go up and down that line and give us good pace.
Your international players are, of course, gone for the next several weeks. What's the biggest adjustment you have to make without them tonight and for the rest of this run?
Anytime you miss players like Becky Sauerbrunn, Heather Riley, Desiree Scott, it's not easy to replace them. I mean, there's a reason why they're at where they're at, and we've done it before. Against Orlando, we were able to get a win without them, and I just hope that we're going to be able to do the same thing today. I mean, there's a few adjustments that we had to make. Obviously, we had to we have to find a center back that will be anywhere close to what Becky can do, and then with Heather not being here and Des, we had to come up with midfielders that will fill up those spots.
You've never won here. What are the keys to turning that around and getting 3 points out of DC?
You know what? I actually didn't even know about it. I just read a couple of days ago that that this is the only field where Kansas City hasn't won. For some reason, every time when we come here, and it happened in the last couple of 2 or 3 games, we started well, and then somehow we managed to come up with a W. I mean, obviously, Washington Spirit has always been a good team, and now with Jim being here, we know that they're going to be organized, they're going to be disciplined. First and foremost, we cannot give them any easy opportunities. So we cannot lose the ball in critical areas of the field. We have to be patient. We have to be very compact, and make them earn every opportunity that if they have any. And on the other side, I know we're not going to have plenty of opportunities. I mean, they're very solid in the back. If I'm not correct, they've only allowed 8 goals in the whole season. So they're very stingy when it comes down to getting scored on. So if we get 2 or 3 opportunities, we're going to have to score on one of them.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, Coach. FC KC head coach Vlatko Anganovsky before tonight's match against the Washington Spirit, Danielle. And the loss for FC Kansas City up top this year was huge. Sydney Leroux is pregnant. Amy Rodriguez was pregnant. Had a baby yesterday, just announced on Twitter. Congratulations to Amy Rodriguez on the birth of Luke Schilling.
Yes, congratulations. We did just hear this right before we went into the broadcast.
So one team down, one to go, and of course that's the Spirit. And Danielle, of course, a lot of changes because of the international absences. Kelsey Weiss gets her second start of the year in goal. And I think a theme throughout this lineup is going to be, yes, new starters, but players that have experience with this team stepping in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially especially with Didasco coming in. She started the first game of the season, so she certainly has the experience and has been competing, with the team for the last 2 seasons. But, it would be great to see who's ready for this, especially with Estelle Johnson coming back into the lineup when she hasn't been in there at all this year. So, it'll be a great game for them to really prove their worth.
Yeah, so Ellie Kruger out of right back. Caprice Didasco does step in. She's got her former college teammate on her shoulder, Megan Oyster. And then Estelle Johnson returns her first action of the year, stepping in for Shalina Zadorsky. Alyssa Kleiner keeps her spot at left back. And I think, I was thinking before the game, this is a situation that Estelle Johnson probably was going to be in last year if Ellie Kruger hadn't gotten hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Where she was going to have to kind of sit and wait her turn. She got to play right away and played very well for the Spirit last year.
Right, absolutely. So, like you said, she does have the experience. She put in a lot of minutes last season. So, she's a seasoned veteran. She'll come in, hopefully, if she does have any jitters, gets rid of them real quick. But she did work a lot with Megan Oyster last year, so they should be able to gel, quickly into the game.
Christine Nairn will wear the captain's armband tonight. She's in the midfield with Tori Huster, and then Joanna Lohman comes back in with Matheson gone with Canada.
And you got to love it. When anybody leaves and Joanna Lohman can step into a position that she's familiar with, and, she has 3 goals on the season so far. Hopefully she'll continue to put the energy into the match for the Spirit and bring what she's brought in the last couple of weeks.
Up front, Estefania Bonini keeps her spot on the right side. She's been in good form, a goal and an assist in her last 2 games. Katie Stingle came on at the half last week. I thought played her best soccer for the Spirit. She'll be the center forward, and then Callie Farquharson fills the big shoes on the field, small, in reality, of Crystal Dunn.
Right, yeah. Certainly Katie Stengel did come in last week and had a great second half, and that's what they need out of this game tonight, somebody like her up high just to maybe settle the game down a little bit until they kind of break away from the nerves that they're probably going to have with a couple different starters coming into the match this evening. So
the lineups again for you. For FC Casey, it's Barnhart in goal, Bowen, Reed, Averbush, and Taylor across the back, Timrak, Laddish, Labonta, and Silva in midfield, and Groom and McCarty we expect up top. For the Spirit, Weiss in goal, Kleiner, Johnson, Oyster, and Didasco across the back, Nairn, Huster, and Lohman in the midfield, Farquharson, Stingle, and Bonini left to right up top. Spirit enter this match in 4th place with 2 matches in hand on all 3 teams in front of them because of the rain out against Houston and just the way the schedules work. So a chance to move up. FC Casey, if they're going to defend their 2 titles, work to do in 8th place with 10 points.
Oh, absolutely. And like I said earlier, FC Casey is a really good team, so I'm excited about their performance this night because losing the players that they have lost, obviously it's a huge loss to them, but they still play a great game of soccer, so they should be able to, hopefully maybe for them, get results out of this evening.
2 of the best defenses in the league. The Spirit have allowed 8 goals, 4 of them coming in that match against Portland. FC Casey, as usual, with Becky Sauerbrunn and company back there, have allowed only 7.
Yeah, so we'll just see what product they're able to put out this evening.
Every game except for Orlando for FC Casey this year has been a tie or a 1-goal game. For the Spirit, the defense has been very good. Stephanie LeBay, we mentioned last game, has already set the shutout record. How is Kelsey Weiss's role a little bit different stepping in tonight? What does she bring that maybe LeBay does not, in terms of maybe how vocal she is or something like that?
I mean, she is working with the back line that she worked with last year out of Oyster and Estelle Johnson.
Right.
So the familiarity there is good for her. So I think she just needs to bring a good leadership, be open, communicative with her back line, and just make sure they stay solid through the game.
Spirit coach Jim Gabara talked about that and more with me before this match. We'll listen to his thoughts and then have 90 minutes here from the Maryland Soccerplex. Stay with us. Our home loss, what's been the focus in training this week?
Well, we've entered a different phase for the season where we don't have our national team players that are going off to Rio for the Olympics, so it's important, and it's also we've been waiting and prepared for this point of the season where we've got 3 players stepping into starting roles, and we've really got to reset the button a little bit, but we've also got to integrate those players, and they've done a great job up until now, and are fully deserving of the opportunity they get, and we have complete confidence in Kelsey, Caprice, Estelle, and even getting Joe back in the lineup that we can get a good result here today.
Yeah, how nice is it to have a veteran defender like Estelle, who hasn't played this year, on the shelf where you know she can step in and do the job right away?
Yeah, it's important. This part of the season, you have 5 or 6 games, which is more than a quarter of the season, so you got to be prepared with players who have experience, but also really good ability to take care of that role as center defender.
What's the biggest adjustment that your team has to make without Crystal and Diana and Shalina and everybody else?
I don't think there's a real big adjustment. I think we're looking at this as being this is your opportunity. You prepared for it all year, and yeah, you lose some really good players, but we've got, like you said, we've got some really good quality players that haven't had a chance to even play. So they're excited about it. We're excited about giving them that opportunity today.
The reserves team's in very good form right now. You bring 3 players up from that group, and it has to be nice to know you've seen them in practice, and that adjustment is going to be pretty easy as well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Didi, and with the goalkeeper issues that other teams have had, we're fortunate to have a third who we're confident that she can fill the number 2 role. And then there's been times during training, even when Steph is here, that she's been one of the better keepers. So, yeah, we got Rosen and Murphy coming in, and they've been here all along since day one, so they understand what they need to do if they're called upon.
Couple of keys for tonight. What do you have to do to get 3 points?
Well, I think we've got to continue to play the way we play, and we got away from that last game and play as a attacking unit that plays 1 and 2 touch, a lot of movement off the ball, and pressing in an organized fashion. And against Kansas City, they have a very good, proven structure that works, and then they've got good players to plug into their gaps as well. So we've got to make sure we do a good job of creating chances on the flanks, because centrally they've got a lot of numbers.
All right, Jim, best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thoughts of Spirit head coach Jim Gabar before tonight's match, Danielle, and 2 teams that have been in the playoffs the last couple years. Trying to get back 3 points tonight would go a long way in that direction.
Of course, especially after the performance that they had last week against Sky Blue. I'm certainly a 3 points would be huge for them tonight, and hopefully they'll be able to put out something good and spectacular for these fans this evening. 2
teams shedding the warm-ups. It is a cool night, especially for July. Probably low 70s for kickoff. Can't complain, though.
No,
we've seen a lot worse in July here.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? It's kind of crazy. I don't think once this year we've had to complain about the wind up top the roof booth, have we?
You missed the game. It was windy.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Sorry.
Chris Hummer had to get a dumbbell out of the Soccerplex inside to weigh down my notes.
Oh, okay.
You missed that game,
All
so
right.
you've been lucky.
Okay.
2 teams posing for their pictures right now. FC Casey in the Road Whites with the Domino's Pizza sponsorship on the front. Spirit in the traditional home blues with the red on the shoulders, and Pro Chain Solutions, the sponsor, on the front. Nicole Barnhart, the captain for FC Casey tonight, awaiting the arrival of Christine Nairn as the Spirit's captain. And, of course, with Krieger gone, Nairn wears the armband, as she has from time to time, and a very good leader on and out the field for this club.
And hopefully this evening, maybe a good game under her belt to kind of get back into, I would say, her stride. I wouldn't say she's had a bad season by any means, because she's been incredibly consistent throughout her games, but maybe not putting the tallies, with goals and assists that she probably would have liked.
Hasn't scored in her last 18 games, but she has 4 career goals against FC Casey just for the Spirit.
Yeah.
And will now add on to her record for consecutive appearances. This will be 49 tonight, and of course Jen Buskowski, who retired this year from FC Casey, has the all-time record with 70, but the active leader, Christine Nairn, the captain for the Spirit tonight. So the lineups again for you if you're just joining us. Barnhart will start in goal for FC Casey. It's Bowen, Reed, Averbush, and Taylor across the back. Temrak, Laddish, Labonta, and Silva in midfield, and Groom and McCarty up front. For the Spirit, Weiss in goal, Kleiner, Johnson, Oyster, and Didasco across the back. Nairn, Huster, and Loman in midfield. Farquharson, Stingle, and Bonini up front. Final instructions from the coaches here, and FC Casey, as befits a team that plays great defense, Danielle, has not conceded in the first 15 minutes of a game this year.
Yeah, and that's huge. You always want to start every single game off. You know, they always say first five of the game, first five of the second half, and especially first five after you let a goal in or if you do score a goal. So, you know, tonight the Spirit did obviously let a goal in the back of the net early last week, so hopefully both teams will be able to hold something tight this weekend.
As the teams take the field, I'm looking at FC Casey's back line, and it does look like it's going to be Taylor in the middle and Reed at right back.
Yeah.
So Reed played center back in college. She hasn't played all year, so we weren't quite sure where she was going to slot in. But the rookie out of Rutgers does play on the right. How tough is that first game of your career to be going against, you know, the legs of Farquharson coming at you and Nairn and Huster? You know, not going against Crystal Dunn, but still pretty tough.
Right, exactly. She's probably excited that maybe Crystal Dunn isn't in the lineup this evening. You know, just like any player at this level, when you turn a professional, you got to kind of get over that. You got to get over those humps and just play your style of game.
Center officials tonight, Karen Abbott waiting for the appropriate second. She has it, and FC Kansas City will search for their first ever win at the Maryland Soccerplex as they kick off, going from left to right. Early touch for Averbush, who scored probably the biggest goal in Spirit history, the rocket against Chicago that got Washington into the playoffs 2 years ago. Was let go after that season as she was deallocated and found her way to FC Casey and picked up her third championship with FC Casey last year. Two in WPS and one now in NWSL.
Sure. And it's great that she's found a home for herself in the back line, working with Becky Sauerbrunn, you know, on a weekly basis.
Stella Johnson gets her first touch of the season, dropping it back for Kelsey Weiss. And we saw Averbush play that center back spot, especially in preseason, the year that she was here. And she's kind of switched between center back and holding midfielder for Andonovsky and FC Casey in her 2 years with them. Header by Stingle to the left side. Nairn trying to track it down, and Brianne Reed will knock it out for a throw-in. Melissa Kleiner up to take. Chested down by Stingle and touched by Reed out for a throw-in. Threw up the line, Nairn making the run deep. Will go to work against Reed. Tangled up there, and it will be a goal kick. No foul going Christine Nairn's way.
I felt like the ball was already out of bounds once Reed made contact with Nairn, so I'm pretty surprised that that wasn't a foul, but, you know, it's still pretty early in the game.
Abbott's only issued 2 yellow cards in her previous 2 games as a center referee this year, and 1 was for dissent, so just 1 for a foul. Second time she's at FC Casey this year. She officiated the 1-1 tie between FC Casey and Sky Blue FC back in June. Bad touch from Kleiner out for a FC Casey throw, which Reed will come up to take. Francis Silva making the run in. The WVU product will get a touch and drop it back for Brittany Taylor. Labonta touching it forward for Silva. In the center circle behind, it'll be handled by Mandy Laddish. Give it away to Bonini. Pass inside for Joanna Loman, who has time to take a touch and look forward. Works it again right for Bonini, who cuts back. Plays it up the line with the right foot, looking for Stingle, but Averbush in good position. Will clean up and knock it up the line off of Bonini for a throw-in. Katie Bowen taking the throw-in, and I think one of the steals of the draft coming out of North Carolina, of course, World Cup experience with New Zealand, and there was some question about whether she was going to stay in the U.S. and play in NWSL, and Vladimir Andonovsky had assurances she would and said thank you very much, picked her up in the middle rounds, and nice piece to add to the puzzle of a 2-time champion. Ball over the top, looking for Shea Groom, and Weishofer line will make the play.
I mean, kind of going back to your point right there, you know, there's always a question, especially here in the U.S. with the leagues, the fact that the NWSL has been able to solidified their 4th year, and going into a great year so far. It's been a fantastic season, and continuing to grow over the course of every year, it has just been huge. And the fact that the NWSL is able to put out such great products year in and year out, it probably makes players want to come here and play, seeing that the league has been able to stick around for as long as it has.
And I'm interested, once we get out of this Olympic year next year, will we see the flood from overseas that we saw in WPS, where the French players, the Brazilian players, some of the German players, the English players come over here and play?
Yeah, exactly. It certainly could.
Steal by Shea Groom. Plays it in for the run of Tiffany McCarty, and she is offside. Tiffany McCarty, as I mentioned earlier, a former Spirit player, scored the first goal in franchise history, but she's never scored in an NWSL match at the Soccerplex.
I mean, this is going back to the days where she played on the Washington Freedom in the W League days. So, she's certainly familiar playing here, and she's from Free State, which is about 45 minutes away from here in Maryland. So it's definitely probably a homecoming for her. Certainly a homecoming for her.
Yeah, one of those feel-good stories that just didn't quite work. Hometown girl in a hometown with her hometown club, and just couldn't quite click for in 2013, but didn't really click for a lot of the Spirit players in 2013.
There's a lot of youth players here in 2013. Sorry, young players, not youth.
McCarty on the ball now, making the run for shoulders Groom. Goes inside instead. Chested down by Megan Oyster and cleared with her left foot. Brought down by Joanna Lohman and slid right for Benini. Good touch to evade the tackle from Bowen. And now the Argentinian will cross midfield on the dribble. Bowen recovering well, forcing the ball through. Taylor at the edge of the 18. Pressure by Farquharson will play it up the line. Didasco gets a foot in. Stingle trying to lay it off. Broken up by Erica Temrak. She'll work it inside. Good turn from Silva. Marked tightly by Huster. And she'll find the safety of Labonta. Here's McCarty. Ball over the top. Trying to work in Reed. Touchdown for herself by the rookie. Tackle from Kleiner. Tango in the box. Again, no call. Kleiner will try and shepherd it out for a goal kick. To stay in play on that inline. And finally takes that last pivot over the line, the last roll.
That was certainly a shoulder-to-shoulder tackle, but I would say a pretty dangerous tackle. That's something that maybe Kleiner wants to think about, just putting her body in, not really making that tackle. She doesn't really have to win the ball. She just has to deny the service in that moment.
Good run from Reed, who, as we said, played center back in college, but looked very comfortable as a right back overlapping there. Laddish pops it up. Silva. Foul will go against Francis Silva there. Definitely thought Tori Huster climbed over her back there, not the other way around.
Yeah, I'm certainly surprised by that call.
And Francis Silva in some pain will now be helped to her feet.
As is Huster, limping a little bit from the tackle. I'm assuming it was the undercut, maybe? That was the foul?
Certainly plenty of contact both ways there, but definitely thought that Silva took the worst of that. Spirit don't do much at the restart, though, as Bowen steals it and drops it for Averbush. Didasco flicking on. Groom in pursuit against Estelle Johnson, who will drop it back to the safe feet of Kelsey Weiss. Weiss making her 22nd career NWSL start between Western New York and Washington. 3 years now in the league.
And she certainly has a lot of experience in the league for the last 3 years, coming in. So whenever LeBay, and even last year when Ashlyn Harris, was called to international duty, it was a great person to step in and kind of fill the shoes of the goalkeepers for the Spirit.
And all 3 years it's been the case where she's stepped in mid-season, which is not an easy thing to do when you're not the starter from day one, and she's done that very well.
And that's a type of position where you have to continue to keep your confidence up and not really allow that to get the best of you, when you're not playing every minute of every game like the starting goalkeeper. But certainly this is her moment to shine.
Exactly the phrase that Jim Cabarra used in the interview was, a chance to shine for these players like Estelle Johnson, Kelsey Weiss, Caprice Didasco. Show that you can keep that spot full time even when the national team players come back into the picture after Rio. Oyster for Didasco. Again, they played it in college together at UCLA, so very close friends as well. Steal for Lohman. Left for Farquharson, looking for her first professional goal. But Brianne Reed in her first professional game winning that tackle.
I think if Farquharson, that was a pretty good ball from Joanna Lohman. If Farquharson would have just waited a little bit, let it come across her body, she took it with her closest foot, so she really wasn't able to have a solid first touch beyond Reed.
4th start of the year for Callie Farquharson, but it's been a few weeks since she's been in the 11. Back to the Portland game. Johnson back for Weiss. Benini dispossessed by Bowen, and then Labonta will knock it out, throw in. Labonta Barton in the offseason won a spot in camp after playing a little bit for Sky Blue FC last year, but tonight is her first professional start. 8th appearance, first professional start.
And what was that stat that you tweeted out earlier? I don't know. I don't remember. Was it today or tomorrow about all the FCKC players?
Get back to that after Reed wins that tackle. So 16 players rostered tonight. Actually 17 now counting Bowen, which we didn't expect.
Right.
4 have never started. 2 of them are starting tonight. And then you've got 4 more that had a combined 15 starts.
Okay. Wow.
Stengel getting that cross in. Cleared by Averbush. So, I mean, that covers Bowen, who just got back into the league, finished up her college and then showed up. Reed, her first professional start. Labonta making her first professional start. The rest of this group's pretty experienced, but then your bench, your backup keeper is Kat Parker, who hasn't played a professional game after ending her rugby career. Alex Arlett, a late scratch tonight, has been a starter at left back for this team. Caroline Castor, not a lot of experience, second-year player. Molly Minchell just signed yesterday.
Right.
And then Alexa Newfield, the rookie out of UNC.
And another homecoming for Molly Menchel. She played here for Clyde Watson, and the McLean team went to UVA. So I'm sure there's a certain amount of people here for her this evening as well.
Played for DC United Women with you, and then for the Spirit Reserves. The first year the league was in existence. Bowen playing it through for Silva, who is offside. Weiss makes the save anyway.
Great save. Also a great way for the Spirit. They really held their back line well there.
Like we talked about earlier, 2 changes in the back, and you lose, obviously, 2 really good players in Krieger and Zadorsky. But this is a back 4 that, at least in pieces, knows what to do. Johnson and Oyster have probably played 20 games together now.
Right.
Oyster and Didasco have probably played 80 games together. Bruce Didasco, who started on the left on opening day, but on the right tonight for the first time this year, and I feel like that's more her natural position on the right.
Yeah, I remember in preseason watching her, and I was very much impressed with her, and we've talked about this all season. The Spirit is very deep this year in all positions, so it's great just to see her get the minutes this evening.
Good switch of fields to find Caprice Didasco, who plays the early cross in towards Lohman, who brings it down for Stengel. Good tackle from Reed to block the initial chance. Touched back by Labonta. And now Averbush will finish the job with a thumping clear out for a throw-in.
And this is something that the Spirit have to be aware of, with these services inside the box. With the height of Averbush and Taylor in the middle of the field, yes, Stengel has a decent amount of height, but it's going to be a battle inside the 18.
Averbush 5'10", Taylor 5'8", Stengel right in between a 5'9". Here's Callie Farquharson with Kleiner overlapping. Pass blocked by McCarty. Cleared by Taylor right to the feet of Tiffany McCarty, who can turn and make Callie Farquharson defend. Ball inside, broken up by Huster. Second chance for Laddish. Up the line for McCarty as Farquharson continues to mark as Kleiner just now recovers into her position and wins the ball. Laddish fighting for it, gets a step though in Alyssa Kleiner. Cuts back on her left foot. Laddish crossing it in, headed by Huster down for Naren. And now Kleiner will play a good ball forward to work Katie Stengel in. Naren with a hard switch looking for Benini, but in between the run of her and Katie Stengel, and Nicole Barnhart will make the play. Nicole Barnhart making her 70th career start and appearance in NWSL and 30 career shutouts, which sounds good, especially when you put it in context. The next highest, 14.
Oh, wow.
She has more than twice as many as Karina LeBlanc.
Wow. That's something certainly to be proud of.
Free kick will go FC Casey's way after a foul. Touchback by Brittany Taylor for Averbush. Nice switch from Averbush. Kept alive by McCarty. Back for Reed. Touched up the line. McCarty will try again. Going to work against Alyssa Kleiner. McCarty turning on the speed. Trying to get a step. Kleiner gets a foot in. McCarty happy to let it go for the first corner of the match. It'll come from the right side in the 14th minute.
Kleiner looks as if she was arguing that it was a goal kick, but from our angle, at least, it clearly looked like it went off of her toe. Or was able to get something on it to knock it out of bounds.
Heather O'Reilly is the normal corner kick taker for FC Casey, but of course with the national team. So Erica Temrak will take her 7th of the year. In swinging ball with the right foot. Towards the far post. Rising forward is McCarty, and she misses just a little bit wide. Silva was there at the near post as well to try and help it along, but too tall for her and out for a goal kick.
Now, what are the years at Florida State with McCarty and Weiss? How many did they overlap? I'm sure she's certainly, or did they even overlap at all?
So they would have, because McCarty was a rookie in 13, Weiss was the rookie in 14.
Okay, so yeah, so they were certainly at Florida State. So Weiss knows what to expect, maybe a little bit out of her, what she's capable, what McCarty's able, to put on a ball, or even what to expect on a corner kick from her.
Plenty of FSU alums in this one. Tori Huster, another one. Bowen overlapping. Marked by Caprice Didasco, touches it inside for Temrak. Back now for Labonsa. Chip from the Stanford product right into the gloves of Kelsey Weiss. So you've got Florida State against North Carolina in a couple places. You've got Stanford against UCLA. You've got Farquharson from Arizona State, another Pac-12 product. So some of these players have been playing together for quite a while, or against each other for quite a while. Steal for Stengel. Inside for Farquharson. Her touch is heavy. That allows Bowen back in the play, and the New Zealander will play it out off of Farquharson for a throw-in.
And I think earlier today I was reading an article on Top Drawer about, I think, the U20 team that was just named, or players going into camp. It was overloaded with Penn State players. Yep. They're absolutely creating so many great players out of that program.
Couple out there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I was just thinking.
Nairn, Lohman.
Well, Krieger, who's not here this evening.
Knocked on by Groom. Kleiner winning the ball for Nairn. Wida steals the layoff, but Lohman takes it back. Bonini now with a good vision to find Nairn in trouble, but she gives it away to the backtracking Silva. Now Labonsa will build for FC Casey. The Blues go right as Temrak finds McCarty. Chip from Temrak for Reed. Good first touch from Reed, cutting back on her left foot. Farquharson doing the defensive work again. Farquharson winning the ball, but running out of space. Appeal for a throw will be given for FC Casey. Probably the most I've seen Farquharson defend all year. Reed's making her work.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was just thinking. So far, we're 17 minutes into the game, and Reed has done a fantastic job at getting up and down that right flank. Farquharson's going to have her hands full the whole evening.
Groom for McCarty. Cross blocked by Kleiner. Second corner of the match will come FC Casey's way. Again, it'll be the 2013 Rookie of the Year, Erica Temrak, to take. Temrak really broke out that year, got a call up to the national team after her 6-goal, 4-assist season. But since then, 8 goals and 6 assists in 2+ years. Ball going towards the far post again. Over a couple of heads, still loose in the box. Volley there from Groom is caught by Kelsey Weiss.
That was very well read by Kelsey Weiss the whole time. Very easy save for her.
2 good corner serves, though, from Temrak, both in dangerous positions, forcing Weiss to stay on her line or make a decision. And after a good start, I think, Danielle, for the Spirit in terms of possession, FC Casey's been on the front foot for the last 10 or so minutes.
And that's exactly what you're going to expect out of FC Casey every time you see them. They're such a great possession-based team. They really play the game the right way.
Laddish back for Averbush. And you have Averbush, who's played midfield for the national team. Taylor played all over the place for UConn. You've got Bowen, who played midfield for her national team and for her college. You've got defenders that really can possess the ball well and do that, play that ball over the top. Weiss will let it roll.
And anytime you come into a game, regardless of opponent, you want to be able to vary up your plays, vary up your services. Can you combine to get behind? Can you send a long diagonal ball in behind? You got to threaten, in all aspects of your game. which FCKC I think has done well so far this evening.
Silva wins the header. Second ball picked up by Narin for the Spirit, and then won back by Tiffany McCarty. Ball through for Shea Groom. Karate kicked by Estelle Johnson, then headed again by Johnson, but right to Groom, who keeps it alive on the right side. Trying to shake Kleiner. Good mark for the second-year player out of Santa Clara. Will play on as Reed plays the early cross and whips it towards the middle, but headed out by Oyster. Volley from Labonta. That would have been a pretty nice first professional goal, but it goes wide.
From this angle, I obviously didn't even realize if it was on frame until it went over the end line, but that was a beautiful strike. A little bit with the outside of her foot kind of took a spin away from the goal.
You mentioned varying attacks, Danielle. Obviously, with Heather O'Reilly in this team, you're going to have a good bit of wide play. FC Casey's done a nice job of playing through the middle and then attacking up the right side as well.
Right.
Shea Groom said this week that she thought that their training had been more competitive without the national team players because everybody's fighting for a spot.
Oh, exactly. I remember in college, I mean, obviously nowhere near this level, but walking off the field with ripped uniforms, pennies, some scratches on your arms, you're as much as these players are sometimes your best friends or, acquaintances, whatever you want to consider them, you're competing with them day in and day out.
Which gives us a natural transition to talk about the Merritt Mathias Shea Groom incident last week. Two former college teammates in that scrap that allowed Mathias to be suspended for a week. McCartney weighing the tackle there off of Lohman, and Spirit appealing for a corner kick. It'll be given. First of the match for Washington will come from Christine Narin and the left side. So you'll have Oyster at 5'8" coming forward. Johnson at 5'6" will also come forward a little bit. Didasco and Bonini, the two smallest players on the field, playing safety. Everybody back within 10 yards for FC Casey to mark this one. Stengel shielding the goalkeeper Barnhart. Switch of runs here from the Spirit as Narin's serve comes in towards the far post, towards Lohman, who heads it and is blocked on the line by Timrak.
Yeah, and that's what she's good for. She totally snuck up there and was able to get something.
Attack still alive for Farquharson on the right side, marked by Erica Timrak. Dropped for Oyster. Thought about the cross. Good defending from Bowen. Oyster runs into a dark alley and loses the ball. Huster drops it for Didasco.
And it was kind of interesting as that corner kick was building up. FC Casey just completely stayed zonal. Nobody went with the player. So I think that's a little shocking to me because Joanna Lohman, it seemed like she got something great on that ball. Was really unmarked, maybe a little bit of body on her.
How did the Spirit maybe adjust their runs to attack that next time?
I mean, just be aware of the zonal play. It really, I would like to take another look at that, or maybe if we have another corner kick come up here, but FCKC didn't look like they moved very much on that service. The Spirit would just want to be a little bit more aggressive, I guess.
McCarty winning it for Laddish in the center circle. It comes for Erica Timrak, who will charge for it. Has Silva and Groom making runs through, but can't find either one, all the way to Kelsey Weiss.
It looked as if Silva and Groom in that moment were kind of making very similar runs. Maybe a slight miscommunication.
Early ball from Kleiner, looking to work in Katie Stinkle. Barnhart was in position to sniff that out if she needed to, but let it roll for a throw in. Huster now for Narin. Narin from deep, and that was always going wide. It might actually stay and play for a throw in if it goes out at all, and Barnhart will come out and get it. Rolls it for Katie Bowen up the line, looking for Timrak, but falls to the feet of Caprice Didasco, who drops it back for Oyster. I think this is the kind of game we expected, Danielle, where you're not going to have a lot of chances. You got to take advantage of what you have. In fact, Vatko Anganovsky said that before the game, said we might only get 2 or 3 chances. We have to make them count.
Right. And every player, regardless of if they start or not, they're still trying to settle into this new lineup. It's like you said earlier, it's essentially a brand new season for all of these players.
Ball off the mark from Oyster to Didasco. Throw for FCKC and Katie Bowen. Drop back to Averbush. Another one of her patented switches to work McCarty in on the right side. Inside comes Reed. She'll volley it with her right foot. Backs off a couple of heads, and Oyster gets the most definitive touch to find Joanna Lohman. We saw Sky Blue FC really pressure the Spirit center backs with Natasha Kai last week, dropping off a little bit more FC Casey today.
Yeah, I was very, very much impressed with the game plan that Sky Blue brought in here last week and putting as much pressure on the back line as they did for the Spirit, and they certainly gained a lot from it. But there's no harm in just sitting back as well as FC Casey is doing and just making a team be really good to try to break you down.
Neat little nugget of trivia from that Sky Blue FC game last week. Goals were scored in that one by Rodriguez, Kerr, and Matheson, assisted by Galton twice and Benini. That's the first game in Spirit history. Multiple goals have been scored, and an American hasn't had a goal or an assist.
I remember you saying that. But that just shows the impact, that can be made across the board with international players, coming into this league.
Huster knocks it out for a throw-in, which Reed will jog up to take. Gladys shows for it. Plays it again for Reed. Turn and out of bounds. Reed, I'm sure, benefited from playing at Rutgers, where she had Sky Blue FC literally playing on her field. And she could watch professional soccer and have that up close and personal. And she's looked very good in her professional debut so far through 25 minutes.
Absolutely. I've been incredibly impressed with her ability to get up and down the flank so far this evening. I'm sure it took a couple minutes to get rid of some nerves, but I think she settled in nicely.
And at the draft, as you were there as well, Danielle, it was neat to see the Rutgers contingent there and the cheer that went up when Reed was drafted and Skrosky was drafted.
And it's funny because I actually called one of the games last fall, the Rutgers-Maryland Big Ten matchup, last fall in College Park. And the Rutgers assistant coach, Megan, she's a former club teammate of mine, so I was kind of digging it deep a little bit, kind of learning what their program is all about, and they're just doing some wonderful things. The R family or RU family, whatever they call it, they're just doing some really great things to cause such great cohesion between their teammates and the staff.
Stinglewoods corner for Nairn paid off last year.
Yeah,
Final Four trip.
It certainly did.
Nairn signaling where she wants her runners to go, and Megan Oyster and Tori Huster will jog up to be a shield at the near side of the 6-yard box on Barnhart, joining Katie Stengel. Again, swirling runs as Nairn serves it in towards the near post, popped up by Reed, and we'll do it again.
See, and it's the same thing that I said on that first corner kick. It's as if maybe McCarty's the only person that's really tracking anybody into the box, but they're really staying strong in their zonal play here.
Might be a situation where you get a deflection off a shot if you can get a clear look.
Yeah.
Serve from Nairn towards the far post, towards Lohman, and she heads wide. Oyster was there as well.
It's really just a wall of white inside within the penalty box, or within the PK spot in the goal.
Foul there against Alyssa Kleiner. As Tiffany McCarty, I think, maybe took a finger to the face. Taylor will restart for Bowen. Now Averbush for Temrak. And Didasco will win a throw. Farquharson turning Reed. McCarty does well to break that up. Lohman to the rescue for Washington, dropping it back for Kleiner. And Estelle Johnson will continue the path to Kelsey Weiss. This isn't a surprise if you're an FC Casey watcher. If only seen 4 goals, 2 both ways, scored in the first half all year. Washington scored 4 just in the first 15 minutes this year. There's been 11 goals scored in the first half of Spirit matches this year.
And I would say so far in the first 29 minutes or so, there's been decent opportunities, but not any opportunities that I think could have been great goal-scoring opportunities. Nothing that really, you're looking back and, oh, that really should have been a finish. So there's not, the productivity isn't quite there yet.
Both teams have parked the bus in front of the goal defensively. There haven't been any chances in behind. It's either been a corner maybe turned, especially by Reed on the right side, or a set piece.
Yeah.
Labonta. Broken up by Didasco. Labonta will try again. Switch right, looking for Tiffany McCarty is too far. Estelle Johnson on the ball, and for FC Casey, it's kind of been a tale of 2 seasons. We talked about how this is almost a 3-part season. Opened with their first 6 games not getting a single win. The last 4 games, 2 wins and 2 draws. And you were watching pregame. I talked with Landonofsky about how Alex Arwitt's been a key to that. Not starting tonight, but the outside backs for FC Casey have been good in her stead. Here's McCarty. Laddish. Back on her left foot. Laddish looking for an angle, playing it through. Now it's Groom. Early ball from Reed. Kelsey Weiss says, I've got that.
It was almost as if the ball into Groom's feet she wasn't expecting. Like, she didn't take a great first touch, but had she known she was so wide open.
Giveaway here to Groom. Trying to cut back on her right foot, 1-on-4, and finally runs out of time and space. It was there for a second, but you're not going to be able to beat Kelsey Weiss from 30 yards off that initial touch, so she had to go to goal.
Certainly difficult odds there.
Outside of the football, 2 working. That's Stefania Bonini. Slid for Farkason just off the mark as Avery Bush will shield it back to Nicole Barnhart. Bonini now popping up on the left as she's now had Farkason go in the middle and Stengel on the right for now, so complete reshuffling of that front pack for Washington.
Which is certainly what you want to see with a front 3. The movement off the ball, the runs, changing it up a bit and not getting stagnant.
Great serve from Bonini. Stengel in the box. Recovering is Bowen. Now Lohman on the left side. Cross blocked by Reed. 3rd try for Washington. Dropped for Bonini on her right foot. The Argentinian cutting towards the 18. Bonini on the edge of the box. Playing it inside for Stengel. Tried the give and go with the back heel, but it's broken up by Averbush.
I mean, again, there was just a wall of 7 FCKC players there. Very, very hard to break down.
Defending with 10 right now is Groom's the only outlet. They'll find Shea Groom here. Stolen by Huster. Bonini. Inside for Stengel. Blocked by a tackle from Labonta. And finally, Silva will find the feet of Laddish, and FC Casey will breathe a sigh of relief and build out of the back. Silva. Timrak now. Tried to work in Groom on the left side, but trickles to Kelsey Weiss.
I think most of the success for FCKC so far this evening has been more up the right flank. I would say Timrak's probably a little quiet this evening, maybe not as involved as the team would probably like her to be.
Early ball for Nairn up the right side. Off the mark and out for a throw-in. Oyster. Dropping it for Estelle Johnson. Left now for Kleiner. Farkason trying to shake Reed. Goes back again for Kleiner. Callie Farkason Inside for Nairn. Making the run through is Farkason. Nairn finds her. Farkason's shot is off the mark. Tried to go far post with placement and couldn't quite make it happen.
Certainly the right idea. I've seen plays set up for that sort of shot before. She just really just mishit it wide of the goal. But certainly the right idea, going far post with the inside of her right foot. Maybe if she lets that come across, take a touch with her left, maybe get a service across the 6. Slow roller across the 6.
Well, that was one of the rare times where there was actually space for an attacker.
Yeah.
So maybe a
Exactly.
bit of an adjustment for Callie Farkason to realize she was that open. Barnhart will clear. And to have that organization without Becky Sauerbrunn out there was impressive.
I mean, and that's certainly what you expect with all the players that are missing.
Groom. Dodges women's tackle. Groom shot just over the bar. Weiss had it covered.
What I really liked what Groom said about the incident last week and her game. She does cause a lot of chaos for a defensive line for any team. She's such a spark plug up there, for the front line of FCKC, and she can do some amazing things. Her runs off the ball are smart. She can hit it well with both feet. She's certainly somebody that's going to continue to progress through this league. Entered the night tied for the league lead in fouls committed, but she's tied with Tobin Heath. Yeah.
So that's pretty good company.
Exactly. But it's her aggressiveness, which I can't blame her for.
Timrak for Francis Silva. McCarty to her right. Plays it for Tiffany McCarty in a foot race with Alyssa Kleiner, and Kleiner gets there first. Sliding tackle to knock it out for a throw-in, and appreciative clap from the crowd.
Certainly nobody I would ever want to be in a foot race with.
One of the fastest players in the league, Tiffany McCarty. Brittany Taylor working her way forward, finding the feet of McCarty. The layoff is picked off by Nairn and dropped for Kelsey Weiss, who will better safe than sorry get out for a throw-in, and a heavy first touch from the fourth official.
Not bad, though. Not bad.
Always got to be ready.
Yeah,
you never
exactly.
know when your number is going to be called.
Yep. And I do think in that moment, Kelsey Weiss maybe had a little bit more time than she thought. There was no FCKC players really looking to put pressure on her. She could have taken a touch and switched a point.
Groom shutting down the passing lanes well for Oyster, forcing a contested pass forward, but Stingle lays it off. Bonini for Huster, and now Caprice Didasco. Chip from Huster up the line for Didasco. Bowen tracking it for FCKC, touching it inside for Averbush. Tamarack the other way. Going by Tori Huster. Huster putting an arm up pretty cynically to commit the professional foul.
Yeah. And this is exactly what I was just thinking as this play was developing. That's what you want to see a little bit more from the Spirit. The outside backs getting up into the attack a bit more and letting Tori Huster kind of do her job and stay as that holding center midfielder and do the dirty work, which is exactly what she just did.
So a free kick in a deep position, but if I had to pick a couple players in the league that I'd like to take this, Averbush will be on my list.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Can drill it with precision and pace from this distance. Threw it very well for the Spirit, who know her talents all too well. Averbush will strike it on frame and right into the diving gloves of Kelsey Weiss.
A lot of pace, really probably not the placement she was looking for.
Scored a nice goal on a free kick against the Spirit last year, Averbush.
And that's what every player, when they get released from a team, that's like the zing you want to give right back to them.
Early ball will find Weiss. Action-packed halftime show as always is Spirits Canadians Gone But Not Forgotten. We'll get some comments from Diana Matheson, Shalina Zadorsky, and Stephanie LeBay about their selection to Canada's side for Rio. And then we'll be joined by Noah Grove of the U.S. Amputee National Team.
very excited to hear about the summer events that he has in store.
He's already played in a World Cup.
Mm-hmm. And I guess we should also use this time to say congratulations to the United States women's deaf national team. They won the World Cup this morning. Or I guess I should say this afternoon. So congratulations to them.
Winning World Cups is what we do.
Yeah.
Timrak has her shot blocked by Oyster. Now Tori Huster. And it was great to see, the members of the women's national team, players in the league, tweet support for the deaf national team all the way through that tournament.
Absolutely.
Very engaged. Tori Huster, I know, was someone that really was at the forefront of that for the Spirit.
Yeah. And even last week, I was looking through so many streams on YouTube, anything I could find for one of their live broadcasts, and I eventually found it. And it was really exciting to watch. I should say it was really special to watch. It was really cool.
Reed switching, looking for Silva, volleyed by Didasco. Nairn gives it away to Abanta. Flicked on by Groom, and Didasco will deny Silva on the far side. Reed goes down, Spirit trying to counter and take advantage, but Reed does a nice job to step up and make Joanna Woman turn. Huster. Woman for Farquharson. Switch now for Oyster. Didasco making the run through his Nairn. Nice ball from Didasco to find her. Nairn goes down, no foul. Whistled there when Mandy Laddish and FC Casey will build. Farquharson now off the turnover for Huster. Now Joanna Lohman. Tackle from Reed, breaks up the pass for Kleiner. Again,
Great
her
read.
first game going well.
Great read by Reed.
Great read by Reed, that's right. Groom in the thick of things again, drawing a foul on Alyssa Kleiner.
Yeah, not a very hard foul, but a hard fall.
Yes.
You could hear the thump from up here. She always finds herself getting into those types of tackles.
Christine Nairn having a word with our center official Karen Abbott after that call. Taylor hits it high towards the top of the 18. Weiss calling for it. And a little help from Megan Oyster to hold off Timrak. Johnson for Kleiner. Stengel chirping for it, but the ball comes back instead.
There have been, we just heard somebody yell, "Come on, referee," below us. There have been some kind of chippy fouls that have gone uncalled this evening. And that's certainly not what you want to see, because you don't want to see that game kind of take a turn in that direction, which we've certainly seen here before at the Soccerplex.
Yeah, it's the fine line between having a light touch and letting things go too much.
And especially after the play, after the ball's released. I've seen a couple of those types of tackles this evening.
Farquharson. Held off by Reed. Wabonsa now. Hoped Groom would make the run, but she didn't. Kelsey Weiss's busy day with her feet continues, finding Oyster. Again, FCKC in a familiar position. This is their 11th game of the year. There's only been a leader at the half in 2 of those games. They've led one and they've trailed in one.
And this is what we talked about pregame. Looking at the stats from this season, or just their game line. Like, yes, they've had more losses than they probably would like, but those losses have only come from a 1-goal differential. They're in every single game.
And here's the thing too. I was looking back to compare them to where they were last year at the midway point. They were 3-5-2 and had scored 8 goals.
Wow.
That's about where they were. About where they are
Right.
now. You turn a couple of those ties into 1 win and a loss. 11 points at this time last year. 10 points right now. And they won a championship.
Sure. And this is certainly the time where a coach is like, look, It's not where you start, it's where you end.
Right.
Like, can we continue to get better? Can we continue to develop as a team? And it's certainly not out of the question.
The difference, of course, this year is Silva handles the ball there, literally and figuratively, I think.
And puts her hand down.
Here's Bowen. Left now for Laddish. Touchback by Timrak. Mandy Laddish against Megan Oyster. Dropping it again for Erica Timrak. Good tackle from Bonini. But last year, you knew you had Amy Rodriguez and Lauren Holiday coming back to help that offense.
Yeah.
Not the case this year.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about. It's certainly a rebuilding season for FCKC.
Here's Stengel. Sobonta wins it. And certainly FCKC would love to make the playoffs, but is it the worst thing in a deep draft to have maybe the 3rd, 4th, 5th pick and get LaRue back and get Rodriguez back? Laddish. McCarty. Groom to her right. Tried to play it centrally for Silva. It was blocked by Huster. FC Casey will try again through Reed on the right side. McCarty. Heavy touch allows Estelle Johnson to stick a foot in, and it will be a corner. Actually, a goal kick. Did hit McCarty on the way through.
A little bit smaller crowd than the last few weeks here at the Soccerplex. I'm assuming a lot of the people are at the beach. We get a lot of beach goers here on 4th of July weekend.
No stoppage time at all on this one. No goals to speak of as well, Danielle. It's been a feeling out process for 45 minutes.
Of course, and that's exactly what we've been talking about this whole half. That's what we expected with missing key players to both rosters. How everyone's going to fit, how the team's going to gel during it, and I think both teams have a solid 45 minutes under their belt, and then hopefully they can continue to kind of grow in this next half.
Is this maybe a situation of who blinks first, maybe who makes a tactical change with a substitution to make this game different?
Yeah, and you know what's going to be a change for both sides, especially the Spirit? What can they do to maybe change it up a little bit? Are they going to go for speed maybe up top a little bit more? Somebody like Ortega who has the experience to come in as a second half sub. So what are going to be the changes at halftime? Or are they just going to kind of go out with both teams, both the 11 that they have right now, and where are they going to go in the second half from here?
We mentioned the youth of FC Casey's bench. You said Ortega's available for the Spirit. Shayna Williams as well, two players that can really change things here.
Exactly.
Or maybe you go with a wild card and throw one of the amateurs out there. Allie Murphy's a really good central midfielder that can change things a little bit. Rosen's played well, the player out of Stanford.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
So, scoreless at the break here. We'll be back here in a few minutes with Noah Grove of the AMPG national team. But first, we hear from the Spears Canadians about their Olympic experience to come.
It's exciting and it's a big honor to be chosen to represent your country, and I'm just excited for my first Olympics.
It's always an honor to be named to any tournament team, and Olympics are always special, I think. I'm excited for my 3rd one.
Just kind of echo what they're saying, very exciting. My first Olympics, and it's been a pretty surreal year being with the national team, and now to prepare for Rio, which is right around the corner. It's really exciting. The first person I told was my mom and also my boyfriend, so family and boyfriend.
Yeah. I didn't tell anyone. I think Twitter did that.
Twitter was, kind of the first thing, I think. I got a message from my dad, so I guess I told him because I responded to him.
He told you.
Yeah, he told me. That's a tough one. I feel like it's probably hockey. Like, being young, growing up in a hockey family, we were always watching hockey, so probably some type of or some version of a Canada-US hockey final, where obviously Canada came out on top.
My clearest earlier memory was 1996, Atlanta. Donovan Bailey won gold in the 100-meter, and he's also from Oakville, so hometown boy.
I'd probably go with hockey, just being in Canada and watching our men's hockey and also our women do well as well.
For me, it was Haley Wickenheiser, a women's hockey player. Growing up, just watching her play and her dominate the sport, and I think just being an incredible role model. I think I just looked up to her a lot.
Donovan Bailey when I was younger, I guess. I watched a lot of figure skating with my mom. So, you know, Kurt Browning, Elvis Stoico, those guys. Just gonna yell out Canadian athletes no one's heard of here. Yeah, Saleh and Pelche in Vancouver. I mean, that was pretty great. Daniel Agali was a wrestler for Canada. He won gold and then kissed the flag. Really emotional. So those are some of the things.
I kind of think recent memory, and I gotta go. I really did like watching Michael Phelps break the record, and he also is a Michigan grad, so go Blue. I think a big part is sharing it with your family, so it's really cool that my mom's going to be there. I think that'll be emotional in itself and really amazing to have her there in Rio, or I guess Sao Paulo. But I think just playing with this team and kind of this family we've created and hopefully winning for Canada.
I guess just seeing what this games is like. Every tournament we've been to is so different, so I guess seeing the vibe, how Brazil pulls everything together, then just getting down to business.
Yeah, I think the Olympics is special because it's not just soccer. There's so many other sports around and high-profile athletes. So I think just kind of being in that environment and seeing all the inspiration around you and feeding off of other athletes' inspirational stories, I think that's a pretty cool thing. And you know, all these underdogs that come out in the Olympics is so fun to follow. So I think just being a part of that and being able to be there and experience all that among it is pretty exciting.
Any advice? It's an Olympics, so anything can happen, I guess. Logistics are crazy. You might end up stopped on the side of the road in a ditch having to go to the bathroom. That may or may not have happened before. And then aside from that, enjoy it, but we're there to win gold. So stay focused. Not that you won't. That was...
Welcome back to the Maryland Soccerplex. Michael Minnick alongside Daniel Mulligary, and our special guest at the half is Noah Grove. Noah, welcome.
It's great to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
We were talking off air that you're no stranger to the Plex, but your first Spirit game here. A little bit of a different view up here from the roof, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a great view, actually.
Yeah, it's a beautiful field. You're on the amputee national team. You also play sled hockey. You've got to have a busy schedule with that in high school as well.
Yeah.
How do you kind of keep things balanced?
Yeah. Well, in the next 2 weeks, I have a development camp for the sled hockey team, and then tryouts for the national team right after. And a week after that, I leave for Costa Rica for the first Central American, North American amputee soccer tournament.
So tell us a little bit of your backstory. What got you involved in wanting to do sled hockey and do the amputee men's national team? What introduced you to all these types of things?
Well, when I was 4, I was diagnosed with bone cancer, and I had my leg amputated when I was 5. And so, you know, I'd always been looking for, like, sports to play.
Sure.
And I was introduced to sled hockey through the Kennedy Krieger Institute.
Okay.
And here at the German Soccerplex, I was introduced to amputee soccer.
Okay.
And they asked me to come out for the national team training camp.
And how do you know, obviously there's a difference between the hockey and the soccer, but how do you feel like this is how both those teams have kind of helped you develop as an athlete?
Well, you know, it really got me motivated because, you know,
Sure.
I was just playing, like, rec sports, like rec basketball or rec soccer. And, you know, like with these, I have, you know, something I can be really competitive with.
Okay.
So I'm, like, on the same level as all the other athletes.
Great. And when you found yourself playing in these rec leagues, were they amputee rec leagues, or were they just you were just a normal kid out there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
How do maybe the skills translate from one to the other? You know, is there maybe something in hockey that helps you with soccer and vice versa?
Well, definitely like arm strength because you know with soccer you're on forearm crutches, but with sled hockey you have two sticks that propel like a cross country skier kind of thing.
So tell us what you have kind of in store for the rest of the summer with your schedule, along with like the men's national team, everything that you're doing, kind of leading up to the next few weeks.
I've just been training really hard.
Okay.
I really hope to make the national sled hockey team.
Okay.
That'd be really cool. It'd be a dual sport athlete on 2 national teams.
Okay, so you said you have camp coming up here. Where are you heading up to?
Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
And then you said in a couple weeks you have a tournament as well for the the soccer team.
Yes, in Costa Rica.
In Costa Rica, and tell us a little bit about that. What are you expecting out of that?
Well, it's an 8-team tournament. There's several club teams from the Central America area, El Salvador, Costa Rica, and Mexico.
Okay.
The national teams from those countries will also be there, and we're sending our national team.
Okay, great.
Visiting with Noah Grove of the U.S. Amputee National Team, and you played in a World Cup, correct?
Yes, I did.
What is it like to be at a World Cup on the field, hear your national anthem? What's going through your mind?
Honestly, like, it's the greatest feeling ever. Being able to represent your country, and just like the chills that go up and down your back when you hear the national anthem play. It's really incredible.
I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Yeah, I get goosebumps just standing over here listening to the national
Yeah.
anthem, and we're not doing anything. So what's something like all of these experiences, because you said you're going to be a senior in high school, what are all these types of experience that you can kind of bring? Are you able to play with your high school team at all, or how do you help out with them?
I was a team manager. I trained with them. So when I was training for World Cup, the fall season, I was training with the varsity team, getting good touches in and all that kind of stuff.
All right. And how do you train on the personal level? You said you've been training a lot. Who have you been training with? Do you have a trainer? Do you just go out on your own?
Me and my dad will go out. Me and my brother will go out. Sometimes just me, individual training.
All right. Very cool.
Busy with Noah Grove of the U.S. Amputee National Team. And what are your future plans? Is this something you want to be doing in 10 years?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm a really competitive person, and so I'm sure there will be a time when I'm going to have to give up the game. That's going to really suck. So.
Well, trust me, it does. it certainly does. But we're very excited to have you here. It's kind of in your own backyard. You live 20 minutes away from here or so.
Right.
So what's it like, kind of growing up around this amazing Soccerplex where we have all of the ability with the women's league here and all the youth games around? What's it like, kind of growing up in this atmosphere?
Well, it's honestly really cool because this is one of the best facilities I've ever seen.
Right.
Like, for soccer, and
Exactly.
there's tons of other sports I've played here. And just being able to come out here and see all the games playing, see all the people involved in soccer, it's really neat.
So give us your schedule for the next couple weeks one more time, and if fans are able to watch online or whatever, what websites can they go to? What outlets can they go to get coverage of that?
Well, in 2 weeks, I'm going up to Buffalo for the development sled hockey camp, National Development Sled Hockey Camp, and right afterwards is tryouts for that. You can follow stat lines and stuff for the development camp because there's lots of different games played. And then right after that, I leave for Costa Rica, and those games will be able to be streamed. So I'm not quite sure yet, but I can always give you guys the address.
Yeah, certainly. Send any of the information towards, because we were talking about earlier in the broadcast, the women's deaf national team played today and they won a World Cup today. So we were able to stream some of their games on YouTube. So any information you have, please send to us. We would love to kind of send out and give awareness, to this team, because it may be new to a lot of individuals.
You never get too much soccer.
No, I can't.
Or hockey,
I
for that
can't
matter.
at least.
Noah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
It was very nice to meet you.
Nice
Please
meeting
come
you
back
guys
and visit
too.
us again.
Spirit and Blues tied 0-0 at the half. We'll be back with first half highlights in the second half here from the Plex. Stay with us.
For another meeting? Yep, I brought my A team.
Make the most of the weekend before it's gone.
This is my family. This is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi there.
Be a weekender and book your stay at Hampton. Feel the Hampton.
Live TV, but first half highlights on the way here for you as well. And we start with a chance early as a physical game. And I thought FC Casey did a good job, especially working up this right side, but Tori Huster goes clattering in there on Silva. The foul goes the other way. Build up here. I thought Shea Groom, which you'd expect was the most dangerous attacking player in the middle for FC Casey, winning a corner kick here. Those service towards the far post gave the Spirit some trouble. Just unable to get it on frame for the Blues. Harmless stuff there for Kelsey Weiss to make the catch, and another set piece here for FCKC. Tori Huster rising forward, and really a case there that might have been a handball on Estelle Johnson watching that back, but no call. That was Labonta with the volley wide. Spirit able to get a corner kick of their own midway through the half, and a chance there. It was blocked on the line by Chermak. Probably the best chance either way.
Yes,
Danielle,
it certainly was.
Half. Another corner for the Spirit, and again handled well at the near post by FCKC, and that zonal marking is something I'm sure we'll get back to in the second half. Corner there wide from Joanna Lohman. Reed in her professional debut got up that right side well, was able to whip across in, now forced to defend here against Estefania Bonini, and McCarty did a good job of bodying up the Argentinian there, not allowing something to get through, and then strengthened numbers denying the back heel from Katie Stengel. Spirit built again here through Callie Farquharson. Christine Nairn, the captain, playing it through, and Farquharson, I think, had more time than she realized.
Yeah, she did.
Never really squared up the ball and hit it high and wide. And speaking of high and wide, chance there that Kelsey Weiss watched go harmlessly through, and then Averbush in Averbush territory. We have Nairn territory, Averbush territory too, but knocked it into the wall there and missed. And that early serve, I think, from Taylor and Averbush, even if FCKC can't get possession, that's going to be an attacking outlet for them in the second half.
Oh, absolutely.
So, scoreless here, and we'll give you halftime stats here momentarily. Looks like neither team's going to make a change at the break, so we'll reset lineups for you as well. So your halftime statistics: 5 shots for FCKC, 4 for Washington, 3 corners for Washington, 2 for FCKC, so very even there. 6 fouls called, 5 on Washington, 1 on FCKC, and again, the one that was called on FCKC was probably a foul the other way.
Yeah, it certainly could have been. And I think that's kind of cause for complaint right now for the Spirit, because like we talked about at the end of the first half there have been some kind of catty fouls, I would say, that have not been called. Some things after the play, not dirty, just kind of things after the play that have gone uncalled. So maybe we'll be able to see a kind of shift here in the second half.
Mentioned it late in the first half. This is the 9th time in 11 games that FCKC has been tied at the half. 2 wins, 3 losses, 3 ties. For the Spirit, they're tied at the half for the 3rd time this year. In both those games, it ended in ties. They scoreless draw against Portland and the 1-1 tie at Boston a few weeks ago, which was the other game Kelsey Weiss started in goal this year.
I think we'll have a good 45 minutes. Hopefully every player that isn't used to really being in the lineup has settled into their game and can really kind of gain some confidence for that first 45 minutes.
So the lineups for the second half for FCKC: it's Barnhart, Bowen, Averbush, Taylor, and Reed defensively. Laddish, Labonta in the center midfield spots with Temrak and Silva wide, and Groom and McCarty up front. For Washington, Weiss in goal, Kleiner, Johnson, Oyster, and Didasco across the back left to right. Nairn, Huster, and Lohman in midfield. Farquharson, Stengel, and Bonini up front. This is the 9th time these 2 teams have met. 3 wins for Washington, 3 wins for FCKC, and 2 ties. So math would tell you that a 3rd tie would make things nice and symmetric.
Yes.
Steal for Didasco. The Spirit, though, 3 wins and a draw at home in this series. They've never lost to FCKC at the Plex, and the only 2 places where FCKC has never won are here in Orlando, and of course they've only had 1 season to win at Orlando. Here's Bonini for the overlapping Didasco. Right footed crossing towards the near post, too far for Stengel, and a catch for Nicole Barnhart, who was after her 31st career NWSL shutout, halfway there.
Kind of a hard, kind of a hard ball for Didasco to serve, because her weight's taking her away from the goal, so she really wasn't able to put much on the ball in that moment to get a decent cross off.
Spirit doing well to keep possession in tight spaces. Now Huster will charge forward, find Nairn, give and go for Tori Huster. Bowen gets a piece of it, and Averbush gets the rest. Out for a throw.
And that's not something we see a lot out of Tori Huster. Tori Huster really sits well in front of the back line. We don't often see her make runs out of the box, out of the midfield. So it's certainly something that maybe they talked about at halftime, getting her more involved in the attack.
Tori Huster limping after that collision with Silva. Spirit will play on as Lohman gets it on the left side, step and win there from Reed, and out for a Spirit throw as Huster jogging normally for the moment. Injury is always a concern, but especially when you're a little bit shorthanded. National team players away.
It's never good for any roster going into this part of the season when you have more support staff on the bench than players that can go in.
Spirit do have a couple subs warming up to make that a little more lopsided, but for the moment that is true. 3 Spirit subs, 3 Spirit coaches, and 2 support staff members. Goal kick for FCKC. I see a throw in as that ball did go out before it was knocked up the line. Laddish towards Groom, rising to beat Johnson to it, but Oyster in good position. Laddish for Katie Bowen. Left for Temrak, who keeps it alive against Didasco. Bowen for Laddish. Forced back by Huster's tenacious marking. And now Didasco will pick up the charge and find Benini. Give and go for the second-year player out of UCLA. In the middle now for Nairn. Outside of the foot for Lohman. McCarty showing her speed to track back and break up that play. Francis Silva now in possession for FC Casey, and she goes all the way back to Barnhart. I want to see Tiffany McCarty and Crystal Dunn on a 40-yard dash. Can we make that happen sometime, please?
Next time they're here.
McCarty on the ball now. Fouled by Alyssa Kleiner, and good spot for a serve for Averbush, who will jog up.
In a call like that, and this may be critical of me, but in a call like that, you never really want your assistant referee making that call.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the center official needs to be a little bit more confident in her call, in her calls to be able to make that, because she has been kind of lenient with a lot of the fouls today.
6v8 here on the left side for FCKC as Averbush will play it towards the 6 and towards the back post runner Francis Silva, but caught by Kelsey Weiss. No problem. Silva at 5'4", an interesting target for a far post serve. Huster switch for Didasco, not able to keep it alive. Up comes Katie Bowen to toss it for Groom. Nice touch to find Temrak as Didasco will track back. Oyster standing up Temrak well, or else the Florida product would have been in on goal.
Yeah, and that was a very, actually I think Caprice Didasco did a great job. She kind of got a little toe in there, which gave Megan Oyster the upper hand just to kind of hold her ground against Temrak.
The Didas toe. Yeah,
I love your puns. They're great.
That wasn't great.
That's fine. I'll take it.
Here's Brittany Taylor. Early ball looking for Erica Temrak. Touches it out for Katie Bowen. Bowen against Didasco. Towards the 18, on her right foot. Bowen has space to shoot if she wants to. She will, but into the gloves of Weiss.
Again, same thing that we saw a couple minutes ago. Just not able to get a lot onto that ball because her body's kind of fallen away from it. Wasn't able to get as much momentum, I guess, into the ball to make it hard for Kelsey Weiss.
Again, bench players for the Spirit are Church, Ortega, Williams, Murphy, Rosen, and Harachich, the backup goalkeeper. For FCKC, it's Arlett, the backup goalkeeper, Parkhill, Castor, Menschel, and Newfield. Amanda Frisbee is scratched tonight. Stengel inside for Lohman. Lohman's right-footed shot. Great save from Barnhart.
Yeah.
That was ticketed for the corner, and Barnhart got just enough to keep it wide.
What a beautiful run, and that's what we expect out of Joanna Lohman out of the midfield. She makes some fantastic runs. She's like the Energizer Bunny, the little engine that could in there out of the midfield. But like we talked about earlier in the game, anytime you have Barnhart in goal, she's going to make these wonderful saves, which she has in the past.
Here it is again, getting that right handle in it, and to do enough to not only get a piece of it, but deflect it wide.
Yeah, exactly.
Tough play.
And that's not something Joanna Lohman needs to be upset about. It was just a great save by Barnhart.
Tip your hat to Nicole Barnhart on that one.
Absolutely.
Corner for Nair in the result, though. Again, circling runs from the Spirit. Serve towards the near post this time. Kleiner's volley. Appeals for deflection off of Bowen, and center official Karen Abbott says no, it's a goal kick.
Yeah. A little suspicious there. It looked like it was clearly off FCKC.
Melissa Kleiner has never scored an NWSL goal. I feel the Spirit starting to build some momentum. FCKC will try and build out of the back and stifle that momentum with possession, but turn it over to Nairn here. One back, though, by McCarty.
I mean, I'm totally okay with them wanting to build out of the back and keep possession, but they've been pretty solid in the midfield, winning the 50-50 balls through the first half. So why not just kind of settle down a little bit here in the second half and play a longer ball out of the back?
Gladys Raverbush. Taylor, harried by Nairn, up the line for McCarty. Tried to flick it for Silva. Will try again, but blocked both times by Alyssa Kleiner.
I appreciate the high pressure from the midfielders kind of putting on the two center backs of FCKC, but if one player is going to go, the rest of the team has to go. It can't just be one person putting the high pressure on.
Bowen cutting inside. Looking right now for Tiffany McCarty. McCarty's early cross towards Francis Silva, rising for the header. Second chance, off the bar! Off the bar from Groom, and the Spirit breathe a sigh of relief. Best chance of the game for FCKC.
Certainly. And I think it was a slight misread by Kelsey Weiss as well. I don't think she knew when kind of that ball was going to be coming down for her to make a punch.
Francis Silva rising well for that initial header. And Groom was open.
The air that Groom just got, though, to kind of beat Kelsey Weiss to that ball.
Through ball from Silva. Perfectly waited for McCarty. McCarty's pass blocked across by Johnson. Fear of an own goal there for a second by Dadaska will let it go. I don't know why she let it go.
Yeah, I just kind of put my hands up. I'm not really knowing why she allowed that to go over the end line. And these are definitely, FCKC has been dangerous on these set pieces.
Yeah, that's the point I was just about to make. You give away a set piece to a team that can punish you.
Yeah.
Chemrak will take as soon as Bowen ties her shoe. She's ready to go now. The serve from Timrak towards the far post, caught by Weiss in traffic, and again, Francis Silva was the target.
She got some ups there.
Well, she is from Overland Park. Try to get over the Spirit defense.
Oh, gosh.
FC Casey's up and warming up, probably to get out of earshot of my terrible puns as the Spirit knock it forward.
We appreciate it.
Here's Didasco. Trying to combine with Benini, but broken up well by Bowen. Silva on the ball now. Gruen making the run centrally. Heavy touch, though, as Oyster back in, and she'll play it off of Silva for a throw-in.
And that's a perfect time for Megan Oyster to make that step. A heavy touch from Silva, and off she goes, just kind of knocking it out of the reach of Silva.
Heavy touch from Benini allows Reed to come get it. Gladys zigzagging out of trouble to find Labonta. Left now for Bowen. It'll be a free kick, a step from the sideline for Katie Bowen and FCKC. Francisco Ortega has shed the warm-up penny. It was like should be the first change of the match for Washington. Serve headed down by Kleiner. Farquharson tracking back for it under pressure from Reed. Played it up the line, and was that deflected? No, it'll be an FCKC throw.
I would say Ortega is probably going to make a change with Farquharson over on that side, maybe bring a little bit of pace, a little bit of experience into this substitution here. That's my guess.
So we've seen Ortega as center forward so far this year, but last year was when she played out wide. I think she was better out wide, making those runs up the side, using her skill on the ball.
And Stengel's done a great job at kind of holding the ball when they're able to find her feet, and maybe Ortega can make a couple of runs off of her, kind of see how they can gel up top.
Estelle Johnson clearing towards Stengel, who wins the throw-in off of Brittany Taylor. Sub card is into the fourth official for Francisca Ordega. And it looks like Katie Stingle will be the player to make way, judging by the fourth officials board below us. Out for a Spirit throw-in.
Maybe they see something different than we do.
It was funny in preseason, Danielle, because they moved the benches to the other side, so this part of the field could, you know, grow a little bit. So we're like, we're going to lose our bird's eye view of the substitutions board. But no, they moved the bench back over here. Silva sliding it for for Temrak. Temrak working it left for Katie Bowen. Bowen against Didasco. Step over move into the box. Lohman gets a tackle in and wins the ball for Benini. A couple of times Erica Temrak's come centrally. I've liked what she's done for FCKC.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an adjustment they'll make later on in the second half. Good press here from Groom and company. We'll go out for a Spirit throw. And we'll see Franny Ordega now in the 59th minute. Katie Stingle's day is done.
And this is something Ordega has the skill, the experience, the speed to kind of add to this second half here for the Spirit. Maybe a little spark plug off of the bench.
So that'll probably be a straight swap with Ordega, as we mentioned, playing center forward like she has this year so far.
Yep. Oh, just a little bit more pace up top to maybe find her in behind.
Off a couple of faces, it finds Benini, who works it for Lohman, but stolen by Groom. Knuckles left for Temrak. Drop for Bowen. Wabonta. Wabonta has only played this year 9 minutes, so you wonder if maybe she's not going to be 90 minutes fit. Maybe she'll be the first player off for FCKC. A little bit quieter, I think, in this half than she was in the first.
Yeah, certainly.
Averbush for Laddish. Mandy Laddish has had to step into a much bigger role for this team this year with the retirement of Warren Holiday and Jen Buskowski leaving the team midway through the year. And she's been a rock for this team. Started every game. Has played all but 33 minutes.
Yeah, I think she's had a very good game this evening. She's incredibly active in the midfield, is keeping the ball moving well.
Didasco's chip looking for Farquharson. Nearly given away by Taylor. Kept alive by Bowen. Appeal on the Spirit bench from Lloyd Yaxley for a throw-in, but we'll go out for a FCKC throw in just about the same spot. Didasco forward. Wabonta will chest it down for Bowen. Blocked by Lohman for another FCKC throw. And this is the part of the game where FCKC has had problems. In the 63rd through 75th minute, they've conceded 3 and scored none.
But they also haven't really given away, other than that Joanna Lohman opportunity.
Right.
That's really the best opportunity of the evening for the Spirit. So they really haven't given away too many chances.
2 shots on goal for the Spirit, according to the scoreboard. To our left, 3 for FCKC. Temrak playing it through, looking for McCarty. No offside, but Weiss in position to scoop it up. And again, there was Temrak drifting in a little bit and playing a dangerous ball. Ordega waiting for her first touch of the game. She'll wait a bit longer as she's tripped up. Free kick for the Spirit. Spirit Squadron hasn't had too much to cheer for in a tightly contested 0-0 game, but busting out the high school gym staple of "you can't do that."
I think this is a little bit out of reach for a shot on goal here.
Christine Nairn has a couple free kick goals against FCKC in the past, but I agree with you. And the fact she's hitting this right-footed tells me, too, that it's going to be a serve. Headed out by Averbush. Oyster trying to keep it in touch, and will give up that chase and let Alyssa Kleiner take a throw-in for the Spirit.
I think if that ball was played a little bit further beyond the line of FCKC, maybe drop it right at the PK spot, might be a little bit harder to defend there, kind of put it in no man's land for the goalkeeper.
Johnson stepping forward to win that ball for Farquharson. And against a really good compact defense like this, you miss Crystal Dunn's ability to make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
We really haven't seen Bonini do a lot one-on-one like she's capable of either. She hasn't been in the position to do so. FC Casey's defense has denied her that ability to set up and attack.
Yeah. FC Casey has been incredibly solid defensively this evening.
Farquharson can keep that one alive, out for a FC Casey throw, which the rookie out of Rutgers, Brianne Reed, will take. Turned in by Silva, who's had a good second half. Tackled away by Kleiner for Huster. Now Christine Nairn. Caprice Didasco making the run as Ordega. Tries to play it for her, but it skips over Ordega's foot. Everbush was in good position anyway. And Barnhart will pick it up after a couple of touches. Temrak shields and forces Didasco to poke it out for the throw in. Shea Groom for Francis Silva. Back comes Lohman to win it for Oyster. Gives it away to Bowen. Quick feet from Temrak. Temrak will try the shot, and that was hooking towards the post.
Yeah.
Why not?
I really appreciate that she even kind of looked to go far post there. But the Spear have to do a better job. They, I think, dropped a little bit too much for her. Know that Temrak is incredibly dangerous from anywhere. So don't drop off so much and allow her to get that opportunity.
Almost the exact same play Ricardo Rodriguez scored on last week.
Yep, exactly.
Cut back, get that space, bend it to the corner. Temrak couldn't quite pull it off, though. Alyssa Kleiner up the line, looking for Ordega. Won by Reed. Picked back by the Spirit. Good turn from Ordega. Laying it into space for Joanna Lohman. Bonini in the middle. Lohman's cross towards Estefania Bonini. One in the air by Bowen. Spirit will regroup through Callie Farquharson. Dropped for Kleiner. Up the line again for Callie Farquharson. She'll go to work against Reed. Touches it by Reed, who stumbles. Cross from Farquharson. Knocked to Lohman. Right to Lohman. And deflected on the way through into the gloves of Barnhart, diving to her near post.
A good amount of skill there from Farquharson on the left flank, but I just love the energy that Joanna Lohman brings into that midfield and the run she's able to make.
You have to feel that if the Spirit are going to score tonight, Lohman will be a part of it.
I just love her energy out of that midfield.
Tiffany McCarty for FC Casey. Up the line for Francis Silva. Trying to touch it by Estelle Johnson. Won by the center back and played up the line. Kansan on Kansan there, and Johnson will give away the throw-in. Early cross chested down by Francis Silva. Played right. McCarty against Kleiner. Kleiner standing her ground well and drawing a foul. Spirit have two changes available. FC Casey has all three, but definitely more vigorous warm-ups from both sides as they look for a game changer off the bench.
And you have to wonder, at least for the Spirit, who brought up a couple of reserves for this game, who do they think that they have the ability of a reserve to come in and make a difference? I mean, obviously the reserves that have been playing with the Washington Spirit reserve over the last, couple months, but they don't have the experience at this level. So can they come in and make a difference?
Spirit reserves are undefeated to start the season, trying to defend their championship. And sometimes you see it in baseball. Kid comes up from AAA, doesn't know any better, has confidence, and makes something happen. Ordega wrapped up. She gets through, plays a ball, looking for Nairn at the top of the box. Nearly got the string through the needle there, but it's broken up. Right for Shea Groom. Hustling back is Kleiner. Forces her towards the sideline. And disappointment there from Shea Groom as the ball gets away from her for a Spirit throw-in. Joe Lohman for Kleiner. Up the line. Good defending there from Reed. Inside comes Labonta. Temrak. Excuse me, that's Laddish battling against Bonini. Bonini wins it. Works up the line for Didasco. Step from Bowen knocks it out. Been FC Casey through hesitation from the AR on this side.
And this, as a coach, you see this all the time. The deflection, you got to be able to tell what the deflection is. The way it spun off, it certainly looked like it went off FCKC rather than the Spirit.
A couple of fouls and referees in the crowd certainly
yeah.
disagreed with that call.
We're all referees at some point or another.
Shea Groom.
Coaches always think they know better.
Don't we? Here's Timrak. Cutting inside on Didasco. Timrak's shot. One hops to Kelsey Weiss. A lot of those chances both ways. That cut in, hopeful shot from 25 yards out that the goalkeeper sees all the way.
And we haven't really seen FCKC really get what they were getting in the first half, getting end line and some services off from their outside backs. It's mostly just been their attackers getting some decent opportunities. I think Reed's been a little bit quieter in this half. I think Bowen's done a little bit better this half as well.
Averbush. Shipping it up the line. Didasco, Bonini with a couple of flicks, and then Nairn can't make the difficult touch and keep it in. This is how the previous meet between these two clubs ended. 0-0 at Swope Sports Park on August 27th of last year. That tie clinching a playoff spot for the Spirit for the second straight year. But I think to go into the last game with this homestand with just 4 points out of 3 games would not be what the Spirit were hoping for out of this extended run here at the Plex. Farquharson for Kleiner. It'll be Chicago next week to finish up this 4-game homestand, and crazy things always seem to happen when the Chicago Red Stars and Washington Spirit meet. Couple dramatic late goal winners for the likes of Crystal Dunn last year, Yael Averbush 2 years ago. Of course, the stoppage due to lightning in year 1 in 2013.
Oh, yeah.
A game that was postponed last year in Chicago by lightning. Actually, that was the makeup game where Crystal Dunn scored. Megan Oyster had a goal taken off the board in that game that would have been her first professional goal. Ortega. Dummied for Nairn. Nairn to the top of the box, but right to Nicole Barnhart.
I really appreciate that move by Bonini. I love that sort of creativity. I think Nairn would have been a little bit better if she would have tried to hit that first time.
Yep.
She took a little bit of pace off it with the movement of her first touch.
Sometimes when you haven't scored in 17 games, you overthink it a little bit.
Probably. Get a little frustrated. But she's been solid tonight. I think she's done well.
Shayna Williams is out the 4th official. Looks like Callie Farquharson's number will come up here. That will be the second change for Washington. The FC Casey is stuck with the 11 that started this game. And why not? They've played well, executed their game plan. Trying to get a goal here from Tiffany McCarty and company. McCarty stumbles, gets another look at it, deflected. Weiss trying to keep it in play, and she will. Averbush towering over Ortega to win that ball. Here's Temrak in the middle. Sliding it through for Groom. Chance for FC Casey. The sliding shot is still loose. And Oyster there to clean up. Whistle here. And it'll be a foul on Shea Groom for colliding with Kelsey Weiss.
I was wondering if that was going to come. I don't even think Shea Groom had to leave her feet for that. I thought it was I thought the ball was pretty close to her. That's a dangerous tackle for her. Going cleats up into any goalkeeper.
Karen Abbott having that conversation with Shea Groom right now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we'll see Shannon Williams come on for Callie Farquharson. Williams making her 7th appearance of the year, 6th as a substitute, still looking for that first professional goal. Another Florida State player thrown into the mix here.
Silva has been so great in the midfield today, winning a ton of 50-50 balls.
Early ball here for Francisco Ortega. Back heel looking for Shayna Williams, and ambitious and not pulled off. But pressure from Shayna Williams gets the Spirit to throw in deep.
I don't mind it when you have a solid lead of 1 or 2, 3-0, but when you're looking to get that go-ahead goal, you got to be a little bit smarter around the 18.
Nairn in a place to cross. She will whip a ball in towards the far post, too far for Lohman and Bonini, but I think that's a position that the Spirit would love to get Christine Nairn in more often.
Yeah. We really haven't seen much of that tonight from her.
"17 minutes plus stoppage time to go in this one. Still no scores. FC Casey hasn't seen a goal scored for either team since Becky Sauerbrun's winner at Houston 2 weeks ago. I believe her first professional goal that she didn't score at the Maryland Soccerplex.
She scored the first goal ever in the WPS, correct?
That's right, for the Freedom.
Yep.
Scored here last year for FC Casey against the Spirit. Estelle Johnson for Kleiner. Back again for Estelle. Spirit haven't missed a beat with their center back pairing. Johnson and Oyster working well together. Early ball for Ortega is too far.
I do think Estelle Johnson has come in and filled in nicely for Zadorsky.
Another throw for the Spirit. Shannon Williams playing it off with Francis Silva. It's like Caroline Castro will be the first roll of the dice for Vlatko Anganovsky at the 4th official right now for FCKC. Nairn with the flick. Ortega trying to run it down on the near side. She will. Plays it inside for Shayna Williams. Another track star that just can't run that one down.
I was wondering if it was going to hold up at all. I certainly love the effort. Williams never gave up.
It'll be Caster for Tiffany McCarty in the 75th, soon to be the 76th minute. First change for the Blues. Sixth appearance of the year, 5th as a sub for Caster, and certainly the roles are going to change a little bit with the rosters. And Caroline Caster, 3 of her substitute appearances have totaled 9 minutes. She's been a very late sub for this team, but getting a chance to play 15 and change with a smaller roster. Kleiner trying to touch it by Reed. Crosses it in towards Ortega. Ortega trying to turn. Ortega trying to shake Averbush. Ortega not able to get by Averbush. And now Lattice will start the counter. This game might open up now in the last 15.
I've seen the speed of Kleiner before, but I don't think I've seen that speed from Kleiner before. That was wonderful work from her on the left side.
Reminiscent of the play in the Boston game in the opener where Ali Krieger just flew by a defender on the far side. Early cross from Didasco is a good one. Headed down by Reed. Here's Lohman. Trying to turn the corner. Dropping it for Huster. Right for Didasco. Caprice will think about it and go up the line for Shayna Williams. Get it back. Touch it inside for Nairn. Outside of the football for Shayna Williams. Williams cuts back. Has space. Left footed cross driven in. Headed out. Now Didasco. For Huster. Lohman back for Huster. Huster's shot. Dipped, but not enough.
And I really like that last minute or so from the Spirit.
Yep.
Their creativity was really good. They were knocking the ball 1 and 2 touch. They were getting good numbers around the ball. I really think if they want to maybe put a ball away, that's something that they need to continue to focus on in this half. Playing quick, moving the ball, finding the seams.
Katie Bowen has been subbed at about this point in the last 2 games as the ball's played through up the right side. Castor runs out of space. It'll be a goal kick. But, you know, you've got a rookie in Reed on one side who hasn't played all year. You've got Bone, who, as I said, has been something about this point. Fitness might be an issue here for those outside backs in the last few minutes against fresh legs.
Yeah. But that's where you have somebody in Molly Menschel who could potentially come on. And let me tell you, that girl can run for days.
Signed yesterday, but has been training with FCKC, and like you said, someone that can play that outside spot, play outside midfield even. And I think she fits their style of play with that UVA background. Possession player, very technical.
Loves to attack out of the back.
Kelsey Weiss will call off Oyster here. Didasco. Up the line for Naren. Running against Averbush. Naren will get to it in the corner. Fakes the cross. Now plays it on the floor for Didasco. Caprice plays the left-footed ball. Bicycle kick attempt from Ortega. Tried a second shot on the ground. Lohman tried to touch it around. Flops in the box. Still loose. Ortega's shot trickles in. Barnhart got a little, but not a lot. And Franny has the Spirit up 1-0 in the 79th minute.
And you know what? And anytime, especially at this point in the game, it doesn't have to be pretty. It was a great finish from Ortega, but leading up to it was not. There was a fall in the box by Lohman. It just was kind of all over the place, but that's what you want to see at this point in the game. Never give up. But you know what? That all started from Christine Naren making that 30-yard run out, 30-yard run out of the midfield.
Ortega's second goal of the year, second in 3 games. It was a winner against Orlando. Spirit looking for a winner here, trying to keep undefeated all time here against FCKC. It was Lohman that took the initial shot, and the deflection went right to Ortega. Sometimes you're in the right place at the right time.
It started with the service from Naren. It went into Ortega, who I think tried the bicycle kick. Maybe could have been called for a foul because she was certainly playing on the floor at that point. And then Lohman took a little bit of a tumble, and then Ortega puts it away far post.
Now FCKC has to change gears. Shea Groom with a shot right into the gloves of Weiss.
And you have to wonder if this changes anything for the Spirit at this point. Do they continue to push to go get that second goal? Or do they make a shift, maybe slide somebody back in the midfield, slide the outside forwards back to maybe turn it into a 4-5-1 and just defend for the last 10 minutes here?
It's the 5th time that FCKC has conceded first. They've lost the first 4 of those games. The Spirit have now scored first. For the 7th time this year, they've got 5 wins and the draw at Boston. Didasco. Early ball for Ortega. She wants a second. Has a good look at it, but the flag is up.
I actually don't think she was offsides on the initial service. I don't. I would really like to see that replay again. I think she just made a great run. And never kind of gave up on that through ball.
Singing live, I agree with you. I thought she was close, if not onside. Didasco with work to do. Heading it back towards Weiss. Groom a step away from getting to it. Castor as well in the mix there.
That's always a really hard decision for a back to make, when to head it back to the goalkeeper, especially when the ball's rolling away from you and you're not really able to get much pace on it.
Looks like more of a 4-3-3 now from KC, with Timrak as the left forward, Groom as the center forward, and Castor as the right forward. And then Laddish was playing as more of a holding, is playing as a true left, with Silva and Labonte in the middle. Reed gives it away to Connor, who will knock it high. I think, and this is the point I made last week, Danielle, with you talking about the Orlando game. This is something I think the Spirit have improved on, is managing games when they have a lead, keeping things, the pace the way they want it. They're going to have about 10 minutes of work to do in this one to see this one off as a win.
certainly. And that's definitely something that you talk about as a coach. How are you going to manage this? What are you going to do? You're going to keep the ball. You're just going to keep pushing forward. You just got to be smart here for the Spirit. And then, on the flip side, FCKC, throw numbers forward. Who cares if you lose 2-0? You want to get that equalizer goal. If you give up another goal, it's not that big of a deal. You're losing already. Push forward. Get numbers forward. See if you can get something on frame against the Spirit.
This is shaping up to be the 6th one-goal game that FC Casey's been involved in.
Just a slight misread there by Reed, and we've talked about this in years past here at the Soccerplex. On a cooler evening, when the sun goes down, it gets incredibly slick on the natural surface.
Drop back now to Megan Oyster, and we'll show it to you here in a minute, but we're getting word from downstairs that Ordega was offside.
Okay.
Switch now for Kleiner. Watko and Janowski telling his players, get forward, pressure the ball, we need a goal. Bonini drops it for Huster. Now Megan Oyster. Didasco. Williams. Tackle from Bowen, knocks it out for a throw-in. Spirit scoring their 3rd goal of the year in the final 15 minutes of a match. Williams with the steal. Has her pass blocked by Averbush. Woman's try also deflected. And that will be a Spirit corner.
And this is where the time management comes into play. Take your time here at the corner. It's going to get frustrating for FCKC.
Here's the chance, and we couldn't see when the ball was played,
yeah.
so it's tough to say for sure. Christine Nairn. Looks like she wants to use the left club this time. Ball in towards the far post, headed by a couple of players. Ordega got a touch too, and somehow that didn't go in initially, but then it sits, and Tori Huster says thank you very much, and scores her first goal since April 26th, 2014.
Wow. And you know what? Just look at the embrace by her teammates there. She's like, finally. But that's the same thing as the first goal that the Spirit played. They never gave up on that. And what did you say earlier in the game? Joanna Lohman's got to be involved in some way.
Yep. Really good ball from Nairn. A couple players crashing in there, and Lohman, I think, kind of setting a pick there to allow Huster to have a clear shot at goal without somebody blocking.
And Lohman was the one that got the initial touch on the service. And what a great finish by Tori Huster. Just absolutely roofed it.
In her 70th career game for the Spirit, Tori Huster may have just put this one on ice. FC Casey thinks differently, though. Scoop here from Groom. Caster getting a step, crossing it in. Timrak bringing it down. Timrak's shot is blocked by Tori Huster.
Yeah. And you see FCKC arguing for a handball, but in that moment, in a shot like that, you're never going to call, as an official at least, you're never going to call a handball.
Just Tori Huster's 3rd career goal. And this is the definition of a defensive substitution. Whitney Church for Estefania Bonini.
Yes. And this is certainly the shift you're going to see. Maybe she goes in. Earlier in the season, we saw her play as a holding center midfielder.
Yep.
So what is she going to do? Is she going to just slide back, kind of hold a little bit more with Tori Huster in the midfield?
Here's the goal again. Like you said, Woman gained the initial touch. Ordega fighting for it. Bonto was the one that denied Ordega, but again, Spirit have had the right player in the right place twice. Now trying to see this one off. Church is on for the final 3.5 minutes plus stoppage time. 2nd-year player out of Penn State. Corner for Erica Timrak, and again, FCKC has made hay from set pieces. Punched by Weiss. 2nd chance volleyed high by Caster.
And on that service, Kelsey Weiss was incredibly blocked. She was not. It was not easy for her to even get any sort of touch on that ball.
We've talked all throughout this game about the zonal marking on corners. I think sometimes that freezes you, where you're not able to just kind of follow the play. And you had FC Casey with a couple players on the line there who were just kind of standing still as Houston knocked that one home.
Yes.
Timrak beats 2. Plays it in for Groom, who's fighting against Oyster. Groom in the box, tries to turn. Cleared, though, by Estelle Johnson. Labonta and Didasco and Loman fighting for it. Comes the Spirit's way. Loman dumping it up the sideline and just out of the reach of Shayna Williams.
I think the second half subs of Williams and Ortega have been huge for the front line of the Spirit.
I think Ortega especially, obviously a goal, but she's done a nice job of creating pressure against this FC KC backline. Out for a Blues throw. Didasco against Groom, knocks it out for another throw in. Same battle this time, except it's Silva and Didasco, and again, it's an FCKC throw, but the Spirit will trade throws for time right now, up 2-0. Nice back heel from Loman. Ortega turning it into space for Loman. Has Williams running with her. First time ball for Williams in the box. Shayna Williams, great save from Barnhart. Still loose, cleared by Taylor. Shayna Williams' best chance at her first professional goal.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the touch that Joanna Loman played. I'm not getting it. Here you go, here you go. And what a strike from Williams as well. That was very hard for Barnhart to make a save on.
And Ortega again starting things, finding Loman, finding Williams. And FC Casey forcing to push their numbers forward. That was Labonta that was actually tracking that run, the midfielder, the center backs. Taylor and Averbush were trying to recover off the play.
And it was a very well-weighted ball from Joanna Loman as well.
Labonta heading it forward. Loman brings it down again. And Ortega is offside. Joanna Loman had a nice birthday bash after the match last week, turning 34, and sure she'll be very pleased with her first match as a 34-year-old. 3 minutes of stoppage time, not much left for FC Casey to try and get back into this one. They've scored multiple goals just once this year. They're going to have to do it in about 3 minutes to get a draw. Give away, though, to Silva. Silva bending it, and the formula we've seen a lot from FCKC, that 25-yard shot, hooking wide. And time for Kelsey Weiss to kill. Joanna Loman winning another key 50-50 ball. Headed back by Reed. Averbush with work to do. Nearly gives it away to Ortega. Church charging for it. Deflected. It'll sit for Shayna Williams on the sideline. She'll slow down. Take it to the corner. Turn it for Church. Nice give and go here. Church on the other side gets a piece of it. Still fighting for it against Labonta. And cleared off of Shayna Williams for throwing. Good game management there again from the Spirit. Silva. Williams touching it for Loman. Didasco. Oyster. Labonta's header forward. Brought down by Whitney Church. And skips over the foot of Shayna Williams. Spirit bench pleased with the game management again here. They'll defend a throw in here. About a minute and change left in the 3 minutes of prescribed stoppage time. And another good play to knock it out for a throw in deep and force FC Casey to go all the way up. Timrak with the thigh, gives it away to Lohman, who again will just dump it deep. Avery Bush's volley forward, touched out by Shayna Williams. Possession for FCKC, but no movement up the field whatsoever in the last minute.
Yeah.
Huster rising for the header and fouling Francis Silva. And Lohman tempting fate there. Not allowing that restart to be taken quickly. Does not get booked. Good header through by Castor, but picked off by Estelle Johnson. Avery Bush will try again. 1-2 with Labonta. Shannon Williams again with good work to block that one. Bowen's switch. Off a couple of heads, Castors and Kleiners. Hops to the feet of Tori Huster. Now Timrak cutting inside. Timrak's early ball in. Volleyed by Estelle Johnson and cleared by Whitney Church.
More like outstretched by Estelle Johnson there.
So, 4 trips to the Maryland Soccerplex before tonight for FCKC. No wins. Make it 5.
Yes.
4-0-1 for Washington at home against FCKC.
Yeah, and I definitely don't think this is a performance that FCKC should be upset with. Yes, the result is upsetting, but I thought they did some really good things out there, and a lot of the players that maybe don't get the minutes that they would want out of the season did step up for FCKC and the Spirit this evening.
But you touched on it, the disparity in the benches.
Right.
FCKC searching for a goal brings on Caroline Castor, who was an amateur until the middle of last year.
Yep.
Spirit bring one, Francisco Ortega, who scored in the World Cup last year.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking, as it went on. The fact that she does have that World Cup experience and she's coming in, she's a seasoned veteran and will be able to produce something when she comes in, especially with those fresh legs.
I think there were some people that scratched their heads when Jim Gabara drafted 2 forwards, drafted Farkas and Williams. This is the time of year where that depth is paying off.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember during draft time when people were like, the Spirit need defenders, the Spirit need defenders. But, with the people that Gabara has put into place, he certainly has worked well with moving them around and shuffling the people in and out, and they have gotten the results they've wanted.
We talked about it during the second half. I think Joanna Lohman might be your player of the match.
Oh, absolutely. I certainly do. And she just brings so much energy over the course of the whole entire game. 90th minute, she was still making runs. Defensively, she does well. She was all over the field this evening, and she's just so incredibly consistent day in and day out.
Christine Nairn, we've harped on the scoreless streak the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months. Made a couple huge plays that led both the goals.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I remember a couple weeks ago listening to an interview after the game about Stephanie LeBay as well. She was like, someone goes, oh, this is your 5th shutout of the season. She goes, yeah, but who's counting? We're winning.
Right.
Same thing for Christine Nairn. Just because she's not scoring doesn't mean the Spirit aren't getting results. She's playing very, very well, for the team in the center of the midfield, and she's doing good things out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be her that's putting the ball away.
6 shutout for the Spirit this year.
Okay.
In 10
first
games.
For Kelsey Weiss, too.
Yeah,
this
first for
evening.
Kelsey Weiss this year.
Yeah, and obviously she's going to have a lot of games to fill in for Stephanie LeBay. So what a way to start for her.
FCKC, it's a point we made all game, struggling to score. Just 6 goals now for the season. But I saw positives from Timrak, from Silva.
Yeah.
Again, I think maybe the adjustment is you move Timrak inside, get her on the ball more, and maybe good things happen.
Yeah, especially in the first half. I thought Timrak was a little bit louder in the second half here, but in the first half, when you really want to run at that back line, maybe getting her a little bit more involved.
Get you final stats here before we sign off and get highlights. Shots end up dead even, 13 all. 5 corners for the Spirit, 4 for FCKC, 8 fouls on Washington, 4 on FCKC. And here's the story of this one. FCKC, a lot of those early shots, early balls in that just didn't quite penetrate Kelsey Weiss's defense. That was Labonta with the volley. Spirit were able to get a corner here, and good clearance off the line by Erica Timrak to deny opportunity for Washington. Kelly Farkason knifing forward to find Christine Nairn. Gives it back to Farkason and just couldn't get her body square, missed that one wide. Spirit attacking Spirit Hill in the second half, and FCKC was able to get some joy through Tiffany McCarty, who drew a foul. Chance there for Katie Bowen coming all the way up from her left back position, who was easily caught. Then Joanna Lemon started to make things happen. Forced a good save from Barnhart. Got on the end of this one, had a shot deflected into the gloves of Barnhart. Made a play here, fell in the box, wasn't called. Francisco Ortega just put it in the right place. 1-0 Spirit at that point. Shea Groom testing and stinging the gloves of Kelsey Weiss. And then the Spirit got a second. Christine Nairn's ball in, brought down by Lohman. Ordega gets a piece of it, and then Tori Huster, making no doubt about it, scoring her third career goal to give the Spirit that insurance lead. And they kept it with good possession and good attacks here as Lohman played in Shayna Williams, who had a nice dipping ball with the right foot towards the near post, forcing a good save out of Nicole Barnhart. Francis Silva came to life in the second half, couldn't make that one fall on frame, but the Spirit had to be pleased to take a game that really was in the balance and put it away at the end.
Yeah, and I do think as the game progressed, the Spirit got more and more comfortable in their game, but they never stopped. They never gave up. They never were willing to settle for that 0-0 tie.
So updated table now with 2 matches to come tonight in the league and then one tomorrow. The Spirit now move into 3rd place. They leapfrog Chicago, losers last night. Spirit now 6-2-2 on 20 points. Portland undefeated on top with 23. Western New York has 21 after their win last night. Chicago falls into 4th with 18. Then it's Orlando with 15. Sky Blue FC and Seattle with 13. FC Casey still stuck on 10. Houston with 7. And Boston with 4. So, again, another critical match for playoff positioning next week. Spirit and Chicago always seem like they're a couple points apart at the end of the season.
Yeah, we're used to seeing that, between those two teams. I would say they're creating a good little rivalry between the two clubs.
I think if I had to point to competitively, the Spirit's rival is Chicago.
Yes, yep.
A lot of classic games in this series. Final thoughts on this one before we wrap it?
I think the Spirit rebounded really well from their performance last week. May not have been pretty at times, but they did some good things when they moved the ball quickly and they were able to get those numbers around the ball. The finishes, I think, came obviously at the perfect time, and they just never gave up. In terms of FCKC, they have to be frustrated with the result, but they can't be frustrated with the way they played because if you, like you said, look at the stats, they created as many opportunities, as the Spirit. They just were unfortunately not able to put them away.
Goal scoring one more time. It's Francisco Ordega scoring the winner in the 79th minute, her second goal of the year. Tori Huster scoring for the first time since 2014 in the 85th minute to seal it. We'll be back here next week as the Spirit wrap up their 4-game homestand against the Chicago Red Stars. Kickoff from the Plex at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And a busy stretch on the road for FC Casey. Their second of 4 or 5 on the road at Portland next Saturday against the Thorns at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Once again, the final score from the Maryland Soccerplex, the Washington Spirit 2 and FC Kansas City 0. For Danielle Meligari, our technical team at MCM and Michael Minnick, enjoy the rest of your evening and happy 4th of July. Goodbye from the Plex.